I want you to think about this entire message when you cast your vote. Once Donald Trump does the damage, there won't be any reversing it. Donald Trump said blanket immunity for officers to be able to do their job. If they're doing their job correctly, legally, why do they need immunity? Immunity is for people that don't want to be prosecuted for their crimes they committed, so they tell on someone else that they feel has done bigger or worse crimes than them. So the justice system will weigh it and say this person's crimes weighs a ton, but your crimes only weighs 100 pounds. So therefore, you have knowledge of the crimes that weigh a ton. So if you're willing to get on the stand and testify concerning the ton, then we will give you immunity from your for your crimes. So you only got one Black Death on your hands, officer, but you know plenty of other officers that got plenty more murders under their belt, Black lives under their belt. So if you tell on them, you're going to get immunity, or if you take a Black life and get convicted, he'll give you immunity if you're doing it on your solo. Man, this is crazy to me. A lot of officers claim to be doing their job when they killed Black Americans. Donald Trump wants to give immunity to those law enforcement officers. What is he saying to Black Americans? The same thing they've been saying. Black lives don't matter. We're property. We have no value. Think about that for those that want to cast their vote for Donald Trump. And that's including white America too. Human to human. Are you comfortable? Can you sleep with yourself at night knowing that you voted for an individual that is willing to try and exterminate an entire race of people and you help do it? So now you know why the police unions support Donald Trump. Now, let me tell you what a terrorist threat is, give you the legal definition of it. A terrorist threat is a credible declaration of intent to commit a violent act after motivated by political, ideological, I mean, ideological, religious, or social goals with the purpose of intimidating or coercing a population or government. Think about that. These threats can be made directly or indirectly through verbal statements, written messages, and online platforms. The goal is to create fear, disrupt normal life, and achieve specific objectives. Me saying this is Donald Trump's entire campaign. He does this stuff, verbal statements, Twitter or X, which is an online platform. He tries to create fear. He wants to disrupt your normal life. Fear does that. Fear to me is like a handicap. It'll keep you in that square, in that block. You won't move where you don't feel safe to achieve his specific objectives. This is Donald Trump's entire campaign. My name is Othello Chase, a black man and an American citizen with a legal right to vote. And I, Othello Chase, approve this message. This last thing I got, I added this in. We, meaning black men, should be seen as citizens of the United States of America. We are not seen as citizens of this country we are born in. We are considered property of the United States of America. That's why they can kill us, hang us, assault us, rape us, murder us, and next to nothing gets done to them. Read this. The Constitution itself does not explicitly state that black people are considered property. However, it contains provisions that indirectly supported and perpetuated slavery. Here it goes. The Three-Fifths Compromise. The clause in Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution stipulated that enslaved people would be counted as three-fifths of a person for the purpose of determining congressional representation. Three-fifths, not a whole person. This clause in Article 5, Section 2, 4, Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution required that escaped enslaved people be returned to their owners, not their parents, their owners, not runaway kids being returned to their parents, to their owners. Somebody had a receipt on us. And because we didn't want to be no one's property, we get beat, hung, ripped apart, our body parts. Beat with bullwhips and any other thing they can get their hands on, all legal. Imagine that. People cried when they saw Passion of the Christ and how Jesus was treated. Why is nobody crying for us? That gave shareholders, slave owners, that gave slave holding states more political power than they would have had if enslaved people were not counted at all. I just wonder if that's how they see immigrants, as three-fifths, and don't want that to be the reason they lose an election. This reinforced the notion that enslaved people were property and that their owners had the rights to reclaim them. The owners had their rights to reclaim them. While these provisions did not directly define people as property, they treated them as such for the purpose of representation and legal enforcement, reinforcing the institution of slavery. It's important to note that these provisions have since been suspended by the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, which abolished slavery, granted citizenship to former enslaved people, and secured voting rights for African Americans respectfully. So, when Donald Trump is talking about getting rid of the Constitution, there goes those protections. Black man, I ask you this. Do you want to go back to being three-fifths of a human being, even though you are 100% human being? Now, this is the end of this. The American Civil War. This is what Google says about American Civil War. 1861 to 1865 was primarily caused by the issue of slavery. Primarily. The southern states, heavily reliant on slave labor for their agricultural economy, wanted to maintain this system. The northern states, increasingly industrialized and opposed to slavery, argued that it was morally wrong and should be abolished. Here are some of the key factors that contributed to the conflict. Slavery, the fundamental issue that divided the North and South, was the institution of slavery. Remember when I said Civil War? So if he's trying to take us back into this time, it will be messy. The North increasingly opposed slavery while the South defended it as an essential to their economy. States' rights. Southern states argued for the right to secede from the Union if they disagreed with federal laws, particularly those related to slavery. This concept of states' rights was a major point of contention. Economic defenses. The North and South had vastly different economies. The North was more industrialized, while the South relied heavily on agriculture, and particularly cotton. This economic difference led to differing political views and interests. The same thing that's happening now. The same thing that's happening now. These economic differences is leading to division. Political polarization. The growing divide over slavery led to increasingly political polarization between the North and South. This made compromise difficult and eventually contributed to the outbreak of war. Ultimately, the Civil War was a result of these deep seated divisions and the inability of the North and South to find a peaceful resolution to the issues of slavery. Here's a little tidbit for you. The devil's job is to distort. I call Donald Trump the devil. The devil has the ability to distort reality. He does that. If he can get you to believe what is not true, then he's winning. When Donald Trump says he knows what black people like, he doesn't. Because, see, we like success, we like peace, we like harmony, we like earning our way. We like to love our families. The same things that white people like. Think about that the next time you say you know what black people like. Actually find out. Good night, people. Have a good one.